Welcome. So this was My Life. It's a new show. It's a new series that we're doing here on the Mike Graham Show. And what we're going to be doing is talking to some people who have had some extraordinary things that have happened to them in their lives that have changed their lives dramatically, but from which they've eventually recovered. And I'm delighted to say that the first person I'm going to talk to about this is my good friend Archie. Archie, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Who I met just about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago. He's become my personal trainer, but he's also become a good friend of mine. And he's got an extraordinary story to tell you about how he came to be a personal trainer from being a former police officer, coming to this country from Latvia, and working his way through a whole bunch of really interesting things in his life, but also suffering a terrible traumatic event, which he's going to tell us all about. Archie, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, you want me to kick it off?
Kick it off. Tell us when you were a police officer, when it happened. You weren't actually on duty when this thing happened to you.
No. I think a bit more of a background.
A bit more of a background on how you got to be a cop. Yeah. Go on. Tell us.
So, I came to UK in 2010 and stayed in Manchester for a couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, I went to the college, and then afterwards I decided, I've had enough of the weather up north, so I'm going to come down south, right?
Right.
So I went to Kingston University, did a law degree, so I did pretty well. I obtained a first-class law degree.
Okay.
And I hit a point where I didn't know what I wanted to do, right? As many students will, after graduating, they will know what to do. Right. So one night I remember I went and I had a couple of beers with someone. He was a police officer at the time, and as part of my studies, I also was a security guard, a bouncer.
Right.
So I got talking to this individual, and he was like, "You know what? Like you seem like you have the qualities for a good police officer. So why don't you give it a go?" So I never really thought about it. And I was like...
And what age would you be? 22, 23?
Something like early 20s, 21, something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm 31 now, to put that in perspective, 10 years ago, right? And I was like, you know what? Why not? Because I don't know what it entails, what it's like, and I'm in need of a job, so maybe I'm going to do that whilst I, look for like training contracts for my law career side of things. And so I got in. I did the policing college, which is in Hendon.
Right.
I did 6 months of that, and then I was deployed on the streets. As part of the probation, I had to spend 2 years in Westminster, so I was based in Westminster. And I stayed there for another half a year until, I started realizing that things are not looking that great. There's a lot of things that I didn't necessarily enjoy or agree with, and I wanted a change up, so I joined a specialist unit, which I had to apply for. So I got in through quite quickly in my career. 2.5 years is quite quick. Managed to get in, and I spent the other 2.5 years as part of a specialist unit where we basically policed all of the London.
Right. And was that Special Patrol Group? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Territorial Support Group.
Territorial Support Group.
THG, as they call it. So
they're the guys that go around the vans, right?
The big blue vans. Yeah. As part of many carriers.
So what was it that you didn't like about the ordinary Westminster kind of policing?
A lot of not necessarily Westminster policing as such, but being as a part of an emergency response unit, you end up dealing with a lot of stuff which is not necessarily as juicy as they call it,
right.
Which would be looking after individuals in the cells, like constant watches, dealing with a lot of mental health problems, missing out on the big, more interesting things like,
right.
like the fights and detaining serious criminals and stuff like that. So I always my interest was, going out and doing proactive work, right, which was all that was the specialist unit. It was proactive work.
Yeah.
And then serious incidents only that we would respond to. So basically anything apart from guns that normal cops couldn't do, we would take on.
Right.
So that was something that I just couldn't get my head around. I didn't want to necessarily do that. So I thought, it's either whether I make another career choice or whether I apply for this specialist unit.
Yeah.
I applied, got in, and I stayed there for 2.5 years. And then I guess I was off duty at the time,
So the night that this happened.
Yeah, so now like we've got a bit of a background, we can come to the
Yeah.
night itself in question. And I was off duty with a couple of my friends in central London, and we were going out. We were having a good time, you know, maybe too much of a good time at a time.
As you do.
As you do, right? And yeah, we ended up going out and drinking, and I remember, you know, we were having probably a bit too much to drink because the shots kept coming, and there was a lot of mixing of alcohol, and that was a bit of a uncontrolled alcohol intake, I would say, session, right?
We've all done it.
Yeah, we've all done it. So that was.
And this was in a busy part of town as well,
yeah,
right?
in central London.
Not
West
terribly
End.
late, like midnight, 11
No,
o'clock.
no. So that was kind of like going after midnight hours, right? So we were out like at 7 p.m. We went out. We went to a couple of places. Then we decided it was actually my decision to go to the venue where we went. And we ended up staying there. Everything was fine, having a great night, having a great drink, no issues whatsoever, right? And then the next thing I remember, and you know, the next thing I remember is sharp pain.
Yeah.
Right, because I had essentially, you know, and this is now I'm kind of telling the story from what I don't remember, but from what I know.
Yeah.
Is I would have gone outside and interacted with a couple of my friends, and it was kicking out time at the time, so it was quite early hours of the morning.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we go outside, you've had too much alcohol. When the fresh air hits, you kind of have like that daisy period of like I don't remember, you know what's going on. So you kind of like black out for a bit, right? So I was kind of in that space, and then this sharp pain comes on, right? And I remember feeling as like that was a sharp punch.
Yeah, like somebody punching in the neck.
Yeah, and the punch felt different. I used to do boxing for many years before this. I was like, this is very different. This is very painful. So, and that came. I really didn't understand where that punch came from.
Right.
And I remember putting my hand here onto the neck and seeing blood coming out of it. And then I immediately realized, wow, I've been stabbed, and I've been stabbed in the neck.
Right.
Obviously, that was my first association because of how much blood was coming out.
Was there a lot of blood?
There was a lot of blood coming out. Right. So, in certain situations, you know, you have the fight or flight, you know, the reflex.
Did
or
you
waber
see
you
who
call
had
it.
done it? Did you know?
No.
Didn't see anything.
So I'll come back to it and explain exactly what had happened.
Right.
But I remember I was like, wow, this is serious. And so my body or my brain or whatever at the time immediately told me, is like, right, I need to do certain things to aid my survival chances. And I ended up applying pressure onto the wound.
Did you have a cloth or something like that, or just your hand?
Your hand, right?
So you knew that you had to do that.
Yeah. So from the police training and watching movies, etc.
Right.
From again like the experience that I witnessed in the police, I know, and the first aid training, security guards, so on. So that is obviously when someone's injured, bleeding a lot, you apply pressure, right? Yeah. Or if they're bleeding out heavily through, let's say, through the lower part of the body, you tourniquet them or whatever. Yeah. Obviously, in this area, you can't put a lot of tourniquet, so the only thing you can really do is put pressure on. Yeah. And obviously, I didn't understand the extent of the injuries as well. Right. So I remember like two things after applying pressure. I needed to look for help and to get out of the situation, and I needed to stay calm. Right? The calmness aspect was just to do with the fact that if you breathe more and you panic, you will make worse decisions and you will accelerate the blood loss, right? Because the heart rate goes up. So obviously more blood is pumping, the more you bleed. Okay. So I had to stay calm. So I left immediately the situation.
So you were able to walk?
So I ended up...
Because I think we've actually got a little bit of footage from CCTV, which we've obtained. And this is a picture of you walking down the street, and you can see, if you look closely, you can see Archie's holding the side of his neck, which is, knowing the story as I do, is kind of amazing, because you're going to tell us what happened next. So you're walking down the street basically, hoping to find a police officer or something?
Yeah, so I remember actually at that point when the adrenaline had kicked in, the mind was very clear.
Yeah.
The mind was very, very clear. The adrenaline took over, obviously, the alcohol intake. So at that moment, I knew exactly what I had to do, and I had to look for help. And I knew from working in the area that not far away, there's clubs and nightclubs, and a lot of people are going to be around me. So if I go and at least get to nightclub bouncers, they'll be able to assist me.
Right.
So I ended up walking, and you know, as you'll see.
Did you feel like dizzy or anything like that? Or?
So as I walked, it wasn't actually dizziness as such. I remember several thoughts that came on at the moment, and I remember thinking about how, you know, I always, and it's a very weird thing to say, but you kind of working in a police environment and seeing several stabbings, you kind of wonder what it's like. Yeah. Or how would it be to get stabbed, right? Yeah. You'd be like, it must be very, very painful, right? Yeah. And I remember actually thinking to myself, I was like, it's right, I can't believe I just got stabbed. Yeah. I can't believe this has happened to me. And I understood immediately the severity of it. Right? That is very, very serious, because, you know, whenever someone gets stabbed in two areas, it's whether in your heart or in your neck. Yeah. The chances of survival are always quite low. Yeah. I would say. Right. And based on the blood that was coming, was leaving my body, and I didn't at the time realize that I was internally bleeding on top of it. Wow. Which obviously I'll explain later on as this develops. I was also bleeding internally. I understood.
Had just been stabbed once with that?
Just once. Yeah. Okay. Just once. Yeah. I was like, right, this is very serious. I need to go look for help. I can't believe this has happened to me, you know. And I was like, I might be in some serious trouble. Yeah. So my goal was to get to this, basically to the end of the road, and I couldn't get there. Right. I couldn't get there because I had no energy. Right. I started, because of the loss of blood, I started running out of energy. So what I decided to do was essentially see the nearest shop. I saw the nearest shop, and I wanted to go in, but I don't know why I didn't make that choice. But I kind of went over to the shop, and I ended up leaning down and holding on to the wound, leaning down, and I wanted to grab my phone, but I had quite tight jeans on at the time, so I couldn't actually reach the phone. And the phone was can't remember which pocket it was, but I couldn't do it because I couldn't let go of my hand, and I couldn't get it, you know, I couldn't get my hand in there. So then, and this I'll never forget this one. As I'm leaning down, holding the wound, I'm like, right, I can't get to my phone. I need help, right? I'm bleeding out.
And were you seeing people walking around at this point?
And exactly. And I remember I kind of looked to my left and clocked eyes with this lady. Yeah. Obviously, she was quite heavily intoxicated. Yeah. And I told her, I was like, call the ambulance, get me help. And she looked at me, froze for a second, and just completely panicked. I started screaming, oh my God, he's been stabbed, and ran off. Yeah.
Not very helpful.
So in that moment, I'm going like, oh, this is it.
Right.
Right. And that's kind of like the moment where, you know, I was like, right, I'm done. Right. I gave up. At that moment.
When you say like, I'm done, you thought you were going to die.
That's it. Yeah. You accept it. I ended up accepting it. Yeah. And the feeling of letting it all go, it was just something I'll probably never experience again, because nothing else kind of mattered. All your thoughts went away, all the feelings, all the pain was gone, and you're just sitting there and just waiting for it to happen.
Kind of bleeding out.
Yeah, and you're just like, you've accepted it, right? This is it. Yeah. This is it. And there was no thought of anything else, just pure calmness, if I can say. Yeah. Nothing else around you existed.
Does everything kind of get muffled?
Yeah.
You
couldn't hear anything. Couldn't think about anything. Yeah. No thoughts. Just pure calmness. Right. But then what happened was, as I was kind of like waiting for, you know, for that to happen, a police officer ran over. And obviously started inspecting me. And luckily, I got one of the officers that had dealt with serious incidents before like this, so he knew what I was doing. Because initially, when he ran over, I was like, "Oh right, oh." So I almost kind of like woke up And I was like, well, I got another chance.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. So I started telling him what to do. And he's like, relax.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. I know what I'm doing. You just do this, 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 this. And he took over. And then that's kind of where it's, well,
Right.
I don't remember much until, next thing I know is I woke up in hospital in the ICU unit from coma. Right, I was in medically induced coma for 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's kind of like
So you don't remember going to hospital at all? You don't remember getting taken there?
No. So I only know the stories.
Yeah.
Which was that a police officer had came, assisted, and then HEMS, which is the London Air Ambulance Service, in their vehicle had driven past. So they took it over from them. And they ended up doing what they needed to do, patching the wound, stabilizing me, putting me in the back of the vehicle. And I was that badly injured that I was almost, they weren't able to proceed with me, without stabilizing me. So they wouldn't proceed to take me to the hospital.
Has anyone ever said how much blood you lost?
I think it was 75% of the blood I had lost because I had a blood transfusion when I got there. So I'd lost a significant amount.
75% of all of your blood?
Yeah.
Right. So the 8 pints that we've all got.
Pretty much like most of the blood.
Right.
Yeah. So when I got there to the hospital, they had to do an emergency blood transfusion.
Right.
Yeah, because I started eventually crashing. But yeah, they couldn't proceed with what's it called? They couldn't proceed with taking me to the hospital because they had to stabilize me because I would have crashed. They had apparently devised this plan that that the HEMS, they're going to drive behind the ambulance, and if I start crashing, then they'll stop in, they'll jump in, revive me, and so on and so on.
Right.
So they had this brilliant plan, and clearly they've done an amazing job. So that's what happened from one aspect, but I didn't actually know what had happened at the time, if that makes sense. These are all more or less things that I momentarily know, or what I've been told, but what actually had happened, and this is me now speaking, from finding out the actual, events of what had happened. It turns out that I had gone out with a friend of mine. We had finished, out, partying inside, come outside, having a chat with one of my best friends, and one of my other friends was speaking to someone. And they were trying to sell drugs to him or something like that. So obviously my police instincts had kicked in, and I had approached this person. And I've asked him to move. Obviously, I don't know what the conversation was that happened, but you can see kind of like me showing, go that way. So obviously I'm telling him to leave. And that person hasn't left. And then I have kind of almost like pushed him and said, leave. There's been some sort of verbal altercation between us, and then he's left. And a few minutes after that, he's come back, and from the behind, he's taken a knife, what they believe is a knife, and probably is a knife, and just stabbed me in the neck from behind. There you go.
Pretty cowardly way to do it.
So that was what had happened on the night. So quite unlucky, to say the least.
Yes.
Because
as far as you were concerned, you were just looking after your friend. You weren't being aggressive particularly. You were just going, don't sell my friend drugs.
Yeah, and the problem with that is obviously it was a bit more personal because that friend of mine, he had a bad encounter previously and he got robbed.
Yeah.
Right, so I obviously stepped in, tried
and also in those kinds of situations, if you're going to go and buy drugs, you don't want to buy them on the street from somebody you don't know, right? That's not a good idea.
Yeah, so obviously I had the best interests at the time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no one can actually expect something like that to happen to them, in central London.
No, of course.
Over really not much, right?
Not very much at all.
Yeah.
So you woke up 2 days after an induced coma.
Yeah.
And what was your first kind of remembrance of that when you woke up? What was the first thing you thought?
That was very unique, to say the least, because what had happened when they put you in a medically induced coma, obviously they do via administration of drugs. My body had actually, because I was supposed to be there for 48 or 72 hours, I had woken myself. I had basically processed the drugs and woken myself up. But then what tends to happen is you kind of have to deal with the, the aftermath of it, which means that your heart rate is super high and you're almost like shaking. So until your body processes the drugs and the awakening, because it's in such a shock, there's not much you can really do. So I was there for 30 minutes at like 200 beats per minute heart rate, just shaking. Then eventually my body processed it, and kind of like everything kind of chilled out. And I remember being introduced to my mum. That was the first memory of it. And at the time, I have a feeding tube in. I have all the tubes, all the things connected to me. So it looks like, you know, you're in some sort of a Matrix movie, right? Yeah. And you're connected to all these things, and you can't speak, right? Because I can't speak. And I remember looking at my mum, and my mum goes to the doctor. Is he going to be always like that? So I'm like, what?
You're thinking you're some kind of vegetable.
Yeah, well, I didn't know, but obviously that was the first thought. I was like, what is she talking about? So I started panicking. Yeah. So I started getting out of it. I'm trying to, obviously I couldn't do much, but I'm like bringing my arms up because I want to, you know, I want to get out of this situation. I want to walk away with this. I didn't understand the severity. I'm obviously heavily induced in drugs. So I'm kind of like trying to fight everyone because I'm just don't know what the hell is going on. And now I've been told, it's like, by my mom's like, oh, is he always going to be like that? Right. So I'm like, it's quite traumatic at the time. And they didn't understand, you know, whether I was capable of speaking, whether I was capable of understanding, because what had happened from the injury side of things, I had received a puncture to my carotid artery, which you have two. You have a carotid artery in your left side, you have a carotid artery in your right side, and it's a quite big artery, and it supplies oxygen and blood to your brain. So when one artery either gets blocked or injured, that means you're not receiving the supply that you need for your brain, which causes a stroke or, you know, even worse. Yeah,
brain damage or something.
Severe brain damage.
And was it close to your, I mean, because most people know the jugular vein, they don't know that vein you're talking about, but was it close to that as well? Because that just doesn't stop bleeding, does it, if you get that?
Yeah, of course. Carotid artery, if you're not in a hospital and it's not tended, you're probably going to end up bleeding out in 2 minutes. Yeah. Roughly. Right. Based on the, you know, how bad the injury is. About 2 to 3 minutes is where it's at. Whereas jugular is pretty imminent, right? 45 seconds you're out, you're done, right? Because of the sheer pressure. So I had received an injury to that. So obviously there was a huge risk of strokes, brain damage, etc., which I'll come to again, which actually did materialize. Yeah. And they had the knife had actually also penetrated the nerve, the cranial nerve branch, which essentially is responsible for moving a whole of your left side. So as you know, there's a thing called a Bell's palsy syndrome or Bell's palsy.
Bell's palsy, yeah.
Yeah. So my face had drooped down. Right, quite heavily at the time because of this.
And you've recovered it a bit, but you still there's still things that don't quite look right.
Yeah, and like for example, my eye doesn't close fully. My smile isn't 100% back. Yeah. But for most part, I've done a pretty good job. Yeah. Right. But yeah, at that time, everything, because obviously the nerve wasn't fixed, and it takes about 2 years to anyway. When it's fixed, it takes about 2 years to recover.
And did they have to operate to do that?
They did. So that was the second surgery I went through.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously my face had kind of dropped down. So that's what my mom was referring to. Is he gonna, you know, always like that? Yeah. So obviously I'm like, what the hell's going on? Right. So yeah, that was the injuries that I knew of at that moment. Yeah. That, you know, I had suffered a carotid artery injury and a facial nerve branch, you know, severance. And I remember that was the first encounter, seeing my mom do that, ask the question, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then the second thing I remember was asking for a piece of paper. Yeah. And obviously they gave me the piece of paper. So I wrote something. Obviously the handwriting wasn't the best at the time. I wrote something, and what I wrote was, this is shit. Right. So they were like, okay, he's fine. Because that was a bit of a sense of kind of like
Were
sense
they
of a
worried
humour.
that maybe your brain had been affected?
Absolutely,
Then?
absolutely, because they didn't know. They had to see me wake up. They had to wait for me to wake up.
Yeah.
To understand where I'm at, because at the time they didn't establish necessarily any sort of brain damage,
Yeah.
but there was always a high risk of it during the surgery, during the life-saving surgery. So they had to call it quite early on because they couldn't repair my facial nerve at the time, and they also couldn't proceed with other bits and bobs, so they had to like speed it up essentially. And yeah, me essentially writing that note down, kind of like was telling them, it's like, you know what, actually is he kind of understands, like couple of things what's going on. But again, at that time, I didn't know what had happened. All I actually thought was I had been involved in a fight, and you know, I'd been stabbed, but it wasn't that bad. It only transpired later on, a couple of days later, that I realized how bad it was. Yeah.
And was that because you saw the footage of it, or you just heard what people had told you about what had happened?
So even like my family and friends to begin with, even they didn't understand how severe the situation was. Because obviously you're there, you're speaking, yes, you're not in a good state, right? And you see, as we've got a picture to show, you can see like I've got my head is banded up, patched up, and you know, but I'm in a pretty all right neck. Yeah, I'm in a lot of pain and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm there alive and I'm speaking.
But knowing you as I do, and knowing how you look now, you don't look like you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, you look like somebody who's been traumatized, and
of course.
You know, you don't quite look like yourself. So you're still in the police at this point.
Yeah.
So then they came to see you at some stage. How long were you in hospital before they came to see you?
Oh, they came to see me pretty immediately because the word spread quite fast. So I used to know a lot of cops, friends at the time in Westminster.
Yeah.
So the word spread that it was me. So they were like people that I used to socialize with and be friends with. They came and they came to the hospital.
Right.
Obviously wanted to see me. They drove in for it. They dropped everything, came and saw me, which was really, really nice and amazing. But they were told that you can't see me because I'm in such a critical state. But yeah, they were there to support me at the time. And then whilst I was recovering in the hospital, the same thing. Like a lot of the people that I used to work with and used to work with previously in the different units, they were there, right? They were there, came and supported me and stuff, and gave me the best wishes and so on. But I guess coming back to the understanding part of it, what I didn't understand to begin with, that happened like over the weekend, and then the Monday comes, and then the doctors are doing their rounds and stuff, right? So this very senior doctor comes, and I'll never forget this because he kind of like opens the little door, closes it, and he just stares at me and doesn't say anything for like 10 seconds. So I remember I'm like, are you all right? Because I was like, what's going on here, right? And he does. And
you could talk at this point.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But like, I struggled to talk because I'm in so much pain.
Yeah.
But I could talk, but I couldn't move anything because of the pain. The injury side obviously happened on here, so I couldn't move my side. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't. I could barely speak.
Could you eat?
I don't.
No.
So I had to be just tube. Yeah. So everything had to be through the straw.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't open the mouth.
Right.
And so this doctor's looking at me and it's like, oh, sorry, apologies. So I'm Doctor this. I was the doctor who operated you a couple of nights ago, and he was just like, this is a miracle what has happened. And I'm like, what do you mean, sorry? It's like, in my 25 years of practice, I've never seen anyone to be able to go through this, pull through, and more importantly, come out, on the good side of things. Because he's like, you're normal.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
can you feel normal at that point?
Yeah, no, I felt quite relatively normal, just in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And so he kind of like starts explaining what had happened. And he explained that he had to be called in from home to come because he was the only individual. He was head of the unit, and he was the only one who was able to perform the surgery because it was in such a difficult place to reach, which is zone 1. The injury site was zone 1, so high up here. So they needed a specialist. So they had to bring him in. And at the time, I was crashing, so I was on the verge of dying. And at one moment, I did crash, so they brought me back. They did a blood transfusion, so time was of essence.
You don't remember that, though?
No, of course not.
Right.
No, because I was in a theatre table at this point. And yeah, so luckily he arrived in time and did the operation. Everything went well, but he did explain, their main concern was the fact that obviously brain damage is something that could have happened and might have happened. But I felt relatively normal at the time, so I didn't think about anything else, right? I was just like in serious pain and I just wanted to recover. So anyway, when he explained what had happened, and then I kind of for the first time understood how serious that was, right? That my life has changed. Yeah. That it's been, it's not something as oh, it's just an injury. It's a life-changing event. Yeah. Right? That, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what all of this means.
Because at that point you don't know how you're going to recover, what your recovery is going to be like.
So that, and I remember him leaving, and that was the only time I was I burst into tears, and ended up crying for 3 hours straight up, right? Because it hit me, the day before I was all fine, jokey, all that, but then when he told me actually what happened, that kind of hit me. Yeah. And then from there on I was right, what am I supposed to do, right? So yeah, I just ended up staying in the hospital, recovering a bit. Preparing for another surgery, which was 10 days after, and to repair my facial nerve, and then the recovery process started. I was able to go home, and that's
after how long? What, 2 weeks?
10 days.
10 days.
10 days in total. 2 surgeries, 10 days. I was able to walk out slowly, so it's fine. Yeah. First 3 days I couldn't walk. Felt dizzy, felt nauseous, just didn't have the strength. Afterwards it got a bit better. Remember at this time I didn't eat proper food, right? So I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat for several weeks properly. And then like I said, the recovery process started, and I think that's where dealing with the incident at the time is the easy part. Yeah. Enduring that kind of pain momentarily is easy, whereas if you kind of go for it, the recovery side of things, that's really, really difficult, right? So, yeah.
So,
the mic.
Oh, yeah, you can just chuck it back on. So you're home recovering.
Yep.
And you're having to get used to presumably just walking around, getting up and down, going to the toilet, sitting at the table. Were you in bed for the whole time, or were you?
Yeah.
So how long were you sort of in bed bound for?
Months.
Really, months.
Months.
So you really couldn't do anything?
No.
And so your mother was looking after you?
No, myself.
Just on your own? Yeah,
to begin with, I had someone looking after me for a couple of weeks, and then things did improve quite well enough so that I could kind of continue the journey myself. Okay. But the problem with everything was the fact that I had gone through blood transfusion, which in itself is quite a big deal to go through. I had brain damage, which I wasn't aware of at the time. I did suffer brain damage, so mini strokes on the left side of the head where the injury happened. And
did that affect your movement or anything?
Yeah, absolutely, which I'll elaborate a bit more on. And then also I was dealing with the injury itself, so the body was healing and requiring a lot of energy. Right. So there would be these moments where I kind of can't almost walk anymore. I'll nap, I'll sleep, I'll get up, I'll do something 10-15 minutes, and then I can't walk anymore. Right. I'm struggling to walk because I have no energy left. So that all together just took so much out of me. And then on top of it, I didn't know that was the case, but apparently, because of the strokes I had suffered, the mini strokes, they call it, the doctors call them the mini strokes, I was experiencing a lot of side effects or symptoms or whatever you want to call them, where I felt constantly dizzy. Yeah. I couldn't sit up. I had this so-called vertigo effect where you'd be sitting down and everything would start spinning. Right. I couldn't read. I couldn't, which is quite frustrating actually. I speak 3 languages.
Yeah.
So all of the languages were mixing up.
Really?
I couldn't speak one language.
Right.
So I couldn't formulate sentences just in English.
Right. And could you watch TV even, or was that difficult?
No, it was difficult.
Yeah.
It was difficult because if there's
Excuse me.
that's okay. If there's too much going on, my brain would just not understand the movement. Right. The more movement there is, the brain could just not focus on so much that was happening.
Okay.
And I would lose trail of my thought quite often. I would start having a conversation with you about something, and I'd just be talking about something else, or I'd stop in the middle of the sentence, and I'd be like, "What was I talking about?" Because the brain just couldn't deal with that.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was quite.
And so how long did that go on for? That kind of period?
Well, it got better month by month.
Okay.
It did get
But
better
months,
by month. By months, I would say it took me 6 months of resting and going through quite a lot. To be in a relatively okay space, right, where I could go out and you know socialize, maybe go out for some food, or even like go to the gym, maybe like or for a walk, you know. But even going to the gym was.
And you were a motorcycle fanatic at one point.
Yes,
And presumably you couldn't do that anymore.
Absolutely, I had to. I actually had to sell my bike.
Yeah.
I had to sell my bike because I had no financial means.
Right.
I had no financial means to support myself.
So tell us about the police then, because the police at some point came along, who you had worked for a few years, right? And they said to you, you can't work for us anymore, effectively.
So the way that it worked, because of the injury that I sustained, which is the carotid artery injury, I have to take blood thinners for the stent, because a stent was placed.
Okay.
Right, so to keep the artery open and working correctly.
So you'll have to take those forever?
Forever.
Yeah.
So problem with that is you're more prone to bleeding.
Yeah.
And it's harder to stop bleeding.
Yeah.
So obviously now on duty, if something would happen, right, the risk is super high, so they would never sign me off.
Right.
So then I was basically bound to go back to desk duty.
Okay.
Which is not what I signed
So they
up
didn't
for.
fire you straight away?
No, they didn't fire me. I left voluntarily.
Right.
So voluntarily. The situation made me leave the police.
Right.
But this is something that I never wanted to fully invest in anyway. Right. But it was my job at the time. It was my job.
And it was a job you liked doing?
Yeah, I liked the job itself.
Yeah.
I enjoyed going out, stopping the baddies, so-called baddies, interacting with people. Yeah, I did enjoy that, but what came with it, I did not enjoy.
Right.
I did not enjoy being called by the public certain names, being put in the box with certain individuals that have done previously bad things to other people, police officers.
Yeah.
And they obviously, as soon as you have the uniform on, they label you that, and that was never me. I always did, my best. I always was reasonable. Yeah. I never flexed the so-called uniform because I didn't have to. And
did you work with some people who did?
Yeah, unfortunately, you would see that quite often.
Yeah.
I was actually based in Charing Cross Police Station for like 2.5 years. Right. So I actually once saw Wayne Cousins because he was into bikes and stuff. So he was based out of that station as well. And yeah, like obviously I had interactions with him, and then also had interactions with other officers where I've seen what they do is not necessarily right. And I've seen a lot, and I just didn't want to be part of it. So I always kind of kept myself to myself. I go in, I do a great job, and I'm out. Yeah. Right. But the job, like I said, itself was great. I really enjoyed it, but what came with it and what I saw, I did not necessarily agree with.
So when you decided to leave, was that because they wanted you to work in a desk job, you didn't really want to do that? How long was that after the stabbing? So I kind of knew from the moment when I woke up, that's not what I need to do. Yeah. I was like, that job is long term, it's not going to happen. You can't do it, yeah.
I can't do it. And not because I can't physically do it, it's because I don't want to do it, because it's not what I'm almost like destined to do, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I kind of immediately knew I had to change. Yeah. And not only career-wise, but as an individual, because when stuff like this happens, you start asking yourself questions such as, like, why?
Yeah.
Right? Why did that happen to me? Am I a bad person?
Right.
Why am I here? Why did I get lucky? And all these questions, and it takes time to process them. It's part of the recovery process, the psychology of it. So I kind of like started thinking about all of that, and I was like, I can't go back. I can't go back. So I had to figure out another career.
And you'd always been fit. You said you were boxing in the police, so you were obviously working out. You were in the gym a lot, but you weren't a personal trainer or anything like that. So when did you decide to do that? Because you're pretty good at it now. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you are. I mean, I'm the proof of it. And if don't think I look that fit, as you said, you should have seen me before. So at what point did you think this is now something I could do? I can now go and do this.
Yeah. I definitely wanted to. I have like almost this innate sense of helping others.
Yeah.
The feeling of like I want to do good, and that was again part of why I joined the police.
Yeah.
It was like helping people, but I didn't feel like I was helping most of the times. So every now and again, but not most of the times. I was just doing a job.
Yeah.
And when this opportunity came around, I'm like, well, I'm very good at this stuff, and a big part of why I was able to sustain the level of injuries was because I was quite fit.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me start this, qualification for personal trainers.
Yeah.
See what happens, right? But I also tried other things, like I wanted to, try DJing.
Yeah.
I was just all over the place. I was a
Sure.
mess. Obviously,
Right.
as you can imagine, someone who's going through that,
Yeah.
they're not in the right
And you were what,
headspace.
28 at this point?
28-ish, yeah, 28, yeah. Something
So
like
still
that.
pretty young, really.
Yeah, so I was like all over the place. I was
Yeah.
like, I gotta do something that is like whatever, meaningful or whatever. So I kind of did this qualification, and then kind of like towards completion of it, I was like, you know what, like I can kind of leave my job now. I feel a bit better, and I can, apply for a job. So, but I just didn't want to apply for a job. I had to think about, right, where do I want to be in the next 5-10 years?
Yeah.
And what happened was I ended up finding this, because I wanted to socialize, I want to be around successful people. I read a lot of books about how to, become a better version of yourself, how to essentially, go further in life.
Yeah.
Right. Not only like as a person, but also like financially and family-wise.
Make the most of yourself, in other words.
Exactly. Right. And I was given the opportunity to live a second life.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make the most of it. So I was like, well, I can't just be, just a standard personal trainer. Like, well, I need to get somewhere. I need to be somewhere. I need to build something. I need to help people, right? And where do I go? Right? There's this quote: if you're in a room with 5 millionaires, if there's 6 people, you're probably going to be the 6th millionaire.
Yeah.
So I was like, I needed to surround myself by successful people and learn from them. So I went to this company called the Ultimate Performance. And they work with high-end clientele, busy professionals, CEOs, business owners, and individuals like that, lawyers, etc. And I did a year there. I got in, which the recruitment was insane. You had to go for like 4 stages of interviews. So I got in, did a year there, and I decided to start my own business.
And that was pretty much straight off the bat, though, right? So you went into a quite successful company.
So a year after.
As a new tryout, if you like. I mean, how did you know you were going to be any good at that?
I listened.
Right.
I learned a lot. I listened. I took on their advice. I gave my best at the time. I had a quite good knowledge already prior to that, from the police training and my own personal training and stuff. But a lot was given to me by this company. Right? So the training that I undertook there really elevated my skills and knowledge. That is like almost like the fundamentals of what I do now. Right. That kind of attitude, that kind of like skill set, desire to be better myself so that my clients can get better. Right. I learned a lot from them. So I kind of like listened to the recipe.
But going out on your own on top of that is quite an extra step to take, though. So were you confident that you could make that work?
Oh no.
No, but I mean, you take the risk, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, I mean, like people, like I had a job always. I was always,
Yeah.
employed.
Right.
Always employed. And to go self-employed, now looking back at it, it's not that bad to start.
Right.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
But at the time, it is a scary place to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I understand why people don't do it. Because the uncertainty,
Right.
the stress,
Yeah.
not being able to sleep at night,
Yeah.
not knowing if this is going to work,
Ah.
going against the system, so-called system, trying this for yourself,
Right.
not having a regular paycheck. Right, that's a big change,
Yeah.
big change, as you'll know, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been in and out of jobs all my life, but yeah. I mean, I actually prefer working for myself in the end, because if you can make it work, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
Because you're your own boss. And so now, fast forward to how we met, you got involved with a consultant in Harley Street, who is basically a cardiologist who sees people like me who have come to him because we want to get fitter, or because we want to, lose a bit of weight, or we want to make sure that we're not going to die anytime soon. In my case, it was like, people said to me, well, you're 60, I think then I was 63, 64. You need to, maybe get yourself checked out. And he had said to me, after the second visit when I went, he sort of changed my diet a little bit. And he said, have you ever thought about, going to the gym? And I was like, no. I've never been to the gym. And he's like, what? And so he said, well, I'm working with this guy, Archie. He said, why don't you go and see him? So I came to see you. And you were specialising at that point in a sort of private gym, working with people like me who had sent to you effectively by the cardiologist. So how did you get into that sort of style of training?
Yeah, so this is something that really came about out of nowhere. I had gone, like I said, self-employed, and I was taking on personal clients and doing personal training, but with no further niches as such. Basically trying to people get stronger and lose weight.
Yeah.
That's what I'm very good at.
Yeah.
And the change in body composition, that's what it's called.
Right.
And one of my clients, because I had just gone, working for myself, I had asked for some referrals, and one of my clients introduced me to his friend, who owned, he's one of the founders of One Heart Clinic, which is heart cardiology clinic.
Right.
And he wanted to take on some personal training. So we all met, we had a discussion, and he said he kind of has an idea, but we'll discuss it later on at some point. So he kind of wanted to test me, see if I actually know what I'm talking about, whether I'm any good at my job, and whether I'd be a good fit to potentially have a discussion about this. And then couple of months later on, we had trained, and he got some really good results, got stronger, got fitter. He was like, right, let's have this conversation. And we ended up basically discussing what is called now ARC Health, ARC, which stands for Age Resilience Quality. ARC, ARQ.
And this is your company.
And this is I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders. There's multiple people that have co-founded, but you could technically say that. And we kind of discussed the fact that private sector, there's a lot of people that are in need of good care when something happens. So for example, they have an event, they have a stent place like myself, for example, or they have a heart failure, some sort of a cardiac arrest, atrial fibrillation when the heart's not working properly, or they're just basically got blood pressure issues, etc. As you'll know. He was like, well, what I see a lot of these individuals, and I tell them what to do, but they don't do it, and then they come back to him. Right?
Having not done it.
Having not done it. And he was like, why don't we build a service that where I can make that direct link, and we can send these people to, and we get them fitter, so they don't have to come back.
And you have to work with people who are not particularly fit, or who might have weak hearts and all of that, so you have to be quite careful, right?
It does actually require you to do several courses. So I had to undergo several courses, which are like cardiac rehab related. Because you need to understand what you do. So when a doctor refers you, the doctor sends a referral letter, you need to understand what that letter means, what's the condition, what medications they're taking, and how to prescribe these programs safely. And what we do is exactly that, but we take it further and we do it optimally. We prescribe these programs so that the client that does partake in them, they can optimize their results. Whereas NHS does something similar, but to a very, very basic level.
Yeah, and if it's
Very
the
basic
NHS, you're
level.
never going to be able to get on the
And obviously,
program anyway.
correct.
Right.
Yeah, so there's like 8-10 weeks waiting
Right.
for these programs, and even then they're super, super basic, right? So they're for like very fragile individuals that, you know, that need it.
And if you're in the NHS waiting list, you're going to be bumped down if you're not particularly in desperate need of it, right? Presumably.
Correct.
So
we
it's
decided,
been quite a journey then for you, isn't it? Because do you ever think back to the day that you can't remember, really, the day that you got stabbed? And
Quite often.
do you wonder what would have happened if that hadn't happened? Do you think about that?
I do, and it's an unusual one, I would say, because if that would have not happened, I probably wouldn't be here today, and I would have not done these great things. I would have not helped a lot of people. I've helped a lot, like people like yourself, you know, helping with like blood pressure issues, and you know, losing a significant amount of weight does improve and extend your quality of life, right?
Yeah.
And I've helped a lot of people, and I've been able to, you know, support my parents now. I've been able to build a pretty good life, you know. So yeah,
And also you're good at it, you know, because it requires a personality which is pleasant. You know what I mean? I mean, I know that we sometimes look around in the gym and see people that perhaps are not as good as you at that, and you kind of go, yeah, I wouldn't fancy having him teaching me anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And without wishing to be unkind, but you know, you've got a good personality. You're good with people. You understand. You know, people. When I first came to you, when I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it was rough.
Literally, he said, actually, at one point, he said, I'm not sure I can do anything with this guy. But you did, and, you know, that was amazing.
Yeah, it took months.
Yeah,
it took months.
It did take a long time.
It took months. And I thought I won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of patience, a lot of repetition,
patience.
And, you know, we're doing great things.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, I do look back at it, and I kind of look back at it, and I'm happy that I had to go through it, but I would never want to go through that again or wish that upon anyone else.
And do you think you would have still been in the police if that hadn't happened?
I would like to think no,
Yeah.
but there's a chance that probably yes.
Yeah, because I mean the show is, you know, this was my life, and because that was your life, it was very different to what it is now.
Yeah.
You know?
So I got forced to make changes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Some people are lucky enough to understand that. Some people never understand that. I got forced to make those changes, and you know, yes, it was a very, very painful, traumatic, and difficult journey.
Yeah.
But as that made me a better person, and has put me in a better position, and you know, has allowed me to contribute to the world more than I had ever done before. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So probably the question is, you know, do I look back at it? Yes. Would I change anything?
No. So you know, that's a pretty good place to be, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because some people would be angry, some people would be
Oh, I was angry.
resentful. You know, how could this happen to me?
The victim mindset is a really tough one.
And they've never found the guy, right, who did it?
No, they know who the individual is. He's been arrested. He was on bail, but due to lack of evidential, you know, there's evidential difficulties. They're still waiting for the phones to come back as the last means.
Wow.
But the CPS.
All these years later.
Yeah. I mean, the case in itself is, I don't think it got dealt well with. From knowing how it should have been dealt with, there were a lot of mistakes made, a lot of errors made. Yeah, so obviously the case, I don't have a trust. I don't have any confidence in it. No. So that's probably going to be.
It's almost like now. There's no point, really, is there?
There's no point, and I don't care that much anymore. I've processed it and I've moved on, because I was in a very bad place, and I did think about you know, not great thoughts, and I was angry and this and that. But once you're able to process it and let it go, your life becomes better.
It becomes your own again.
It becomes your own, exactly.
Yeah.
And obviously my family dealt with it, and when I had processed it, my mum still hadn't, and I had to have a conversation with her. I was like, you gotta let this go.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't be talking about this individual all the time. I was like, can't be talking about it. I don't want to hear it. I'm done. You know?
And now you're about to do something pretty amazing, because you mentioned the air ambulance people saving you, and you're now about to do something which sounds to me incredibly crazy.
We'll get you on it next year.
Some kind of mad obstacle race.
Yeah.
To raise money for the air ambulance charity. Tell us what that's about.
Yeah. So I decided I needed to take on another challenge. Because life's too short, you got to make it a bit more difficult, right?
Yeah.
It's difficult enough, but let's make it a bit more difficult.
Harder, yeah. Why not?
And I was like, right, what's a good cause, you know? Because like I said, I do enjoy helping people, right? And you know, I wanted to make the most out of it. So I was like, well, let me raise money for a charity, which is what I've never done before. And I decided that actually I'm going to raise it for London's air ambulance. For their charity, because I actually have a story with them. They
sort of saved your life.
And they did, they did save my life. Because the way they operate is they have the helicopter and they have the advanced paramedics in the cars.
Right.
And on that night, one of the advanced paramedics was there, and they were able to save my life. And so I'm raising money for them so that, you know, they did an amazing job with me. I'm still here because of their interaction, their intervention. So, you know, if I'm able to return some money to them and help them out, because they're privately funded, then it could save another person's life. And, you know, I understand what that can, you know, if that person decides to do good with it, how much good they can do, right? So, like myself, you know.
So you're going to do this weekend?
Yes.
21 kilometers?
So the race itself is 21 kilometers. 30 obstacles, and it's not easy. So you're having to climb.
I might not be seeing you next Monday, right?
Oh yeah, we're supposed to train on Monday. No.
You might be off for that day.
No. I'll come in, but I don't know whether I'll be able to walk.
Yeah. So that's an amazing thing. Has it got a name?
Yeah, it's called the Spartan Race. Spartan Race, okay. and the subsection of it is Beast. It's called the Beast.
Peter's just telling me we're going to donate £500 to you from the company.
Really?
Yeah, so from the Mike Graham Show.
I appreciate it.
So that sets you off. We're trying to raise some money. So if you can, we're going to put up a little, there's a QR code which is going to go up. And we'll see what we can do for you, because you're a remarkable man. You really are. And I think, you know, these kinds of stories are inspirational to people, because people think they're having a bad time. They'll be watching
There's always someone who has it worse.
There's always somebody who's got it worse. And, you know, you might even say that there's somebody who's got it worse, because you're still here.
Actually, on that one, I remember I was 4 months into the recovery, and I came across this Facebook post. And there was a video of a guy who had parachuted out of a plane, and it didn't open, right? And he landed, and he was pretty messed up, right? So, and then there's me, right? Comparing, I can't compare myself to that individual because he's got it worse. And then there's this individual talking about how a kid that he met through recovery, he was a 14-year-old kid who had ridden a BMX and jumped up and landed and became essentially paraplegic. And he was like, I have it bad, but this kid is even worse. So someone always has it worse.
Yeah,
right?
Amazing.
So it's just, I think it's a very, very good thing to be able to, you know, to help people, because sometimes with our lives we do forget, you know, that there is good out there.
There is. And sometimes we're guilty of it as well here, because
absolutely.
You know, we talk about how terrible things are and how awful it is, but there's some good people out there, and you know, they want to do good for other people.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing this, because we want to help people as well. And hopefully this is the first episode of a series of stories we're going to tell. And it's a great place to start, I think. So thank you for doing it for us.
Hopefully, thank you for having me on.
And good luck with the obstacle course. Don't fall over anything.
Oh, that'll be fun. It'll be fun. I'll send you here some pictures.
All right, good.
All right,
Archie, great to see you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it for having me on.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Well, that was quite a story. We'll be back. Why am I looking into the wrong screen? We'll be back next week with another incredible story from This Was My Life. It was good, huh? I know. I was like, at the end.
It's long. Thank you.
Amazing. Isn't it?